Gerald, you've been saying for years that when all else fails, and it looks like everything is failing now, economically, politically, socially, all that, when all else fails, they take you to war. Is that what the expanding war in Ukraine is all about?
It's about that, and it's about the mentally deranged, demonic people running our lives. What are we involved? Why? What are we doing in? It's not my war. Oh, there's a border dispute going on between Russia and Ukraine for how long? Oh, about 300 years.
Yeah.
Taking down a statue of Catherine the Great, which he did with Odessa, and creating Catherine the Great. You mean from 1750s? And again, people they don't have a clue why this all happened. They don't know about the violation of the Minsk agreement. Again, we wrote about it in detail in the Trends Journal.
Yeah.
We had a whole magazine from, I thought I had it here, from spring 2014. Article written by Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, former Assistant Treasury Secretary under Ronald Reagan, of the United States overthrow the democratically elected government of Ukraine, Viktor Yanukovych. Victoria Nuland, the Undersecretary of State, caught on the phone with Jeffrey Pyatt, who was the American ambassador to the UN, telling FU to the EU, we're putting Yats in there. We're going to do this before the Russians know it.
Yeah.
They overthrew the government. And then they never talk about the 15,000 people in the separatist region, the Donbass region, that the Ukrainians keep killing or killed. And that's one of the reasons Putin went in. They don't talk about the violation of the Minsk agreement put together by Germany and France when this whole revolution happened over there, and that this was going to be a separatist region. They wouldn't be a separatist nation, but they would have their own, separatist ideals. And Ukraine violated it. And then we just heard that Angela Merkel, who was the chancellor of Germany at the time, said the Minsk agreement was basically a fraud, and that they only did it so Ukraine could build up militarily.
Yeah. See, the way I see it, Gerald, Putin has a legitimate claim, whatever else he might be, has a legitimate claim to object to Ukraine joining NATO and more NATO nuclear missiles on Russia, closer to Russia's border, closer to Moscow, a 3 to 5 minute missile flight from Ukraine to Moscow. If they bring those missiles in, I compare it to the Cuban Missile Crisis in '62, where he almost went to war with the Soviet Union when Khrushchev brought missiles 90 miles off our shore. But the heads in Washington say there's no comparison there. There's no analogy.
Yeah. I mean, if we had the Russians up in Canada with missiles aimed at us, and the Chinese down in Mexico with missiles aimed at us, we'll be very happy about that.
Yeah.
And what's America doing? Oh, by the way, America's now this Lloyd Austin, the guy that's playing our Secretary of Defense. His last job sitting on the board of directors of Raytheon, the second largest defense contractor. Him bragging that we're opening up 4 new bases in the Philippines.
Yeah.
What are we doing over there? What are we doing? That's not our business.
Well, that may
Why are we all over there? What do we have? 700 bases in 70, 800 bases in 70 countries?
Yeah.
As this country's going down the crapper, my buddy just got back from Los Angeles. He said, oh my God, he said, you should see the homeless situation there. He said, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Same thing up in San Francisco. People living in RVs.
Yeah. In Los Angeles, even Rodeo Drive now is infested with homelessness and all that debris that's associated with them on the street. I mean, it's even swank areas now have that to contend with.
And we're spending all this. Oh, the budget that they passed, $1.7 trillion, over half of it went to the military industrial intelligence complex.
Yeah. Yeah.
Half of it. Over half.
Apparently, what they're trying to do with Ukraine is bleed Russia, weaken Russia so that they could overthrow Putin, and we get our mitts into Russia with all our oligarchs and all our investments and all that, trying to westernize Russia. That seems to be the overall plan. What's your take on it?
Yeah, and they're not going to do it. The America hasn't, I am sick and tired of hearing these generals giving their forecasts. You're losers. You guys haven't won a war since World War II. You got a bad attitude, and you're still wearing your Boy Scout outfits with all the little badges on it. You haven't won a war. You kill millions of people, and you're giving me your strategies? Oh, you only killed about 1 million in Iraq. Did a great job in the 20-year Afghan war. Love what you did to Libya. Great deal in Yemen. Oh, and Syria, you only killed about 650,000. Yeah. So they don't know what they're doing. You're not going to beat the Russians. You know, there's a great speech that people should read by John F. Kennedy. It's a speech that he gave to the graduating students at American University in June of 1963.
Right.
5 months later, Jack, you're dead. It was all about peace. He goes on in this whole piece about the communists, how terrible they are, blah, 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 blah. And then he said, but the Russian people are good people. They're advanced scientifically, culturally. He said, these people suffered more than anybody in World War II.
Right.
His words, over 20 million of them were killed. And their country was destroyed, a third of it, equal to from Chicago east. He said, we don't want to get in war with them. We've had enough war. And if two major powers fight each other in a war, it will be nuclear devastation. And within 24 hours, everything will be destroyed.
And now the crazy neocons seem to think we could win a nuclear war with Russia. We could win the first war.
I know. How could anybody with a brain bigger than a pea listen to an arrogant piece of garbage scum crap like that Bolton character?
Yeah.
One after little Lindsey Graham going over there to Ukraine January 21st, along with Blumenthal and this guy Whitehouse.
Yeah.
Saying that we have to stop the Russians. Oh, yeah, Blumenthal, the guy that BS that he was in Vietnam and he got 5 draft deferments. And because he was a member of the club, he became like in a National Guard and never left Washington, D.C. Yeah, that Blumenthal.
Yeah.
Oh, and they're saying that if we don't stop the Russians, before you know it, they'll be taking over Europe. Oh, yeah, like the Vietnam War. Oh, the dominoes are going to keep falling if you don't stop those commies in Vietnam. Before you know it, those dominoes are going to keep falling. They'll take all of Asia, and they'll be falling on the shores of California. James Buckley or William F. Buckley, a little clown of an arrogant guy. And people, I believed it. As a young guy, I believed the lies they were saying about Vietnam.
Yeah.
Oh, and the United States, why did we get into it? Because Robert McNamara, the defense secretary, lied that the Vietnamese fired on the ship in the Gulf of Tonkin.
Right.
And what the hell are we doing in the Gulf of Tonkin? What if the Vietnamese were in the Gulf of Mexico?
Yeah. Yeah. It's one lie after another, one deception after another. Now, yeah, you've been trying to awaken the public, but of course you're no longer welcomed on national media, the mainstream media, along with Paul Craig Roberts and others who have an accurate perspective. So, and I know you started this Universal Church as an effort to increase public awareness and bring this to an end. But Gerald, I mean, we're fighting the wind, aren't we? I mean, is it a lost cause?
It's a lost cause if the people don't unite. It's going to be the end of life on Earth. They're running these drills on what to do in case an nuclear bomb goes off.
Right.
In Business Insider, one place after another, putting down this stupid crap. Oh, the scientists in Cyprus did a computer analysis, and they said this is what you should. Scientists in Cyprus did a computer analysis to say what to do if an atom bomb goes off. who are you talking to? We're talking to the average person.
Yeah.
Again, the cover of this week's magazine, the Trends Journal, is you're still in school.
Right.
Obey the authorities. The principals became the politicians, and the teachers are the bureaucrats.
Yeah.
You obey your principal. You do what you're told, and I'll tell you what to do. I'm your teacher. And it's the same crap now. I'm Gavin Newsom. I'm little Andy Cuomo. I'm Witless Whitney. I'm DeWine over there in Ohio. I'm some little piece of garbage scum crap like the clown over there in Jersey, Murphy. One arrogant little boy after another, an arrogant little girl telling us what to do. Yes, we'll do it. Yes, we'll do it, teacher.
Well, Gerald, I think it was Thomas Jefferson who said, in order to keep your democracy, you need an educated, informed public, which is why the First Amendment was put in place. But it seems like the more information that's available, the less people are absorbing it. They're on video games, they're on all kind of TikTok and all that kind of stuff. And there's less real information being absorbed by the public. So, I mean, that is a major problem in waking the public up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, again, you'll go to CNN, what actress died? Who's getting divorced? Oh, a football player got tackled. Oh, and he got a heart attack. Oh my God. That only lasted for 2 weeks. And they sent them $7 million.
Yeah.
What the hell do I care? You're playing football.
Yeah. As I've said, and I think you have said, the media has become cheerleaders and propagandists rather than the watchdogs for the public.
Yeah, they used to call it the fourth estate.
Yeah.
That to watch the judicial, the presidential, the executive branch, the judicial branch, and the congressional branch, and they were the fourth branch to watch over them, the fourth estate. Right. Gone. What do you have? 5 companies own all the media in the country.
Yeah.
And you could thank Bill Clinton for that. The guy who also gave us NAFTA to say down jobs overseas, brought China into the World Trade Organization, allowed those drug ads to go on TV in 1997. Oh, that Bill Clinton? Yeah. Yeah, he's the one that deregulated the media industry as well. Yeah. The Federal Communications Act, I think it was 1996. Yeah,
and that's what caused the consolidation of the media. As you say, now it's controlled by just a few billionaires, multi-billionaires. Yeah.
Yep.
It's pathetic.
And when I say the warning and people don't get it, it's this thing is very, very serious. We're hearing this guy who's this NATO general saying that we should be preparing for a wartime economy.
Yeah.
I mean, this is another little arrogant boy. I was a general in the Netherlands. You're like, get the hell out of here. Hey, general piece of garbage crap. People don't realize it. There's going to be a false flag event. Before the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, do you know that over 80% of Americans were against getting involved in what was going on in Europe?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I started looking up more about why the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. And I knew that the United States put sanctions on them. So I Googled it up, very simple. I put World War II Japanese sanctions, America's sanctions on Japan. This is from history, the major establishment site.
Yeah.
This day in history. On July 26, 1941, President Franklin Roosevelt seizes all Japanese assets in the United States. Do you know why?
Why?
They don't tell us why, right? They don't teach you this in school. Because the Japanese, in retaliation for the Japanese occupation of French Indochina. Wait a minute. You stole all the Japanese money, all their assets, because they invaded French Indochina? Oh, you mean Cambodia, Vietnam, and Laos? And what the hell are the French doing in there?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean because they were stealing their rubber and their tin and all the natural resources and enslaving the people, how dare the Japanese do the same thing?
Yeah.
On July 24th, Tokyo decided to strengthen its position in terms of its invasion of China by moving through Southeast Asia. Japan followed up by occupying Cam Ranh Naval Base. Oh, Cam Ranh Naval Base in Vietnam? 800 miles from the Philippines, where Americans had troops, and the British base at Singapore. Wait a minute. What is the United States doing over in the Philippines? And how dare the Japanese go and take over Singapore when the sun never sets on the British Empire,
Right.
and those colonists are occupying it? Gets better. President Roosevelt swung into action by freezing all Japanese assets in America. Britain and the Dutch Indies followed suit. Dutch Indies? Oh, you mean the Dutch who went into Indonesia, killed, enslaved, and stole everything they could? That Dutch East Indies? The result, Japanese lost access to 3/4 of its overseas trade and 88% of its imported oil. Japan imports 100% of its oil. They lost 88% of it. They lost, what did I say? 3/4 of their overseas trade. They were going broke. Can't understand why they retaliated and bombed Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
They never teach it us in school. And they're going to do this. They're doing the same thing with the Russians. You remember when we were kids, we had air raid drills, having us hiding under desks in case an atom bomb went off.
Yeah.
All our lives, they've been teaching us to hate the Russians. The military-industrial complex that Dwight D. Eisenhower warned us about, that's robbed the nation of the genius of the sciences, the sweat of the labors, and the future of the children, according to him, and its humanity, in his words, hanging on a cross of iron.
Yeah.
And this is a 5-star general, supreme commander of the Allied forces.
Yeah. According to reports, we are preventing Zelensky, who, is a phony in himself, but we're preventing him from negotiating with Russia because we want to keep the war going and we want to expand the war. We're preventing any kind of a settlement, which could have been made a long time ago and avoid all these civilian casualties, which Russia has been trying to avoid, by the way. That's part of an untold story. That's why the war is going on so long, because Russia's been trying to take it easy and minimize damage to people and to structure. But, as we bring in more weapons, it becomes more difficult for Russia without responding in kind.
Well, that's exactly what happened. Russia said you remember when it all got accelerated?
Yeah.
When they bombed the Crimean Bridge and blew up the Nord Stream pipelines.
Yeah.
And blowing up the Nord Stream pipelines, that Victoria Nuland said how happy they were about this.
Yeah.
And this is the same Victoria Nuland that was an undersecretary of state under Obama when they overthrew the democratically elected government of Viktor Yanukovych in 2014.
Gerald, I asked Paul Craig Roberts just a few days ago the same question. The neocons that are still in place, are they crazy enough or stupid enough or naive enough to actually risk a nuclear war with Russia that they think we could win? Are they that crazy?
Yeah. They're demonic, evil people. Look, World War II is not ancient history.
Yeah.
I mean, it ended just 1 year before I was born. Europe was destroyed. Millions of people killed. These are crazy people. They're evil, demonic people. And this has been going on since what? What's your favorite war? The Peloponnesian War? No, I like the 100-Year War. Oh, the War of Roses was just lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, these are crazy people. And Americans aren't fighting back, and they fight against you. Look, I had that rally up here. It was the rally, Peace and Freedom rally.
Yeah.
Peace and freedom, right? Mike, and you were up here, the buildings I have, and we used to have the conferences, and that I rented that out. That beautiful place that we redid, 1774 Academy, one of the first public schools in America.
Yeah.
This place, Rough Drafters in there now. They're doing a land office business. They closed down when the rally began at 2:00 because, quote, there was a political rally and they didn't want to be open. My tenant. How dare I have a rally for peace and freedom? There are more flags flying up around here from Ukrainian flags than American flags.
Yeah. Again, it's brainwashing. You know, the American public thinks the Russians are the bad guys and we're the good guys fighting for freedom for others. Yeah, you know, but getting back to these crazy neocons. Now, when we grew up, we realized what the results of a nuclear war would be. You know, I mean, just realistically, we know. And yet these so-called experts in the Pentagon and deep state government don't realize what that could lead to. It could lead to the extinction of all life on Earth.
I know. Again, you know, they're running these ads. Let me see if I have one over here. America goes not abroad in search of monsters. That was John Quincy Adams.
Yeah.
George Washington's farewell address. Do not get involved in any foreign entanglements, particularly in Europe, because basically this crap has been going on for centuries. We're not going to fix it. It's none of our business. Don't get involved in it.
And of course, as you mentioned, Eisenhower's farewell speech about the growing menace of the military-industrial complex, which has just surged since Eisenhower's day, which was already powerful back then.
Here we go. Link. A study identifies best place to hide from nuclear blast shockwave. The corner of the room is the safest spot to hide from a massive shockwave caused by a nuclear explosion. Scientists from Cyprus have discovered after running a computer situation. I'm not making this stuff up.
That'll help. Go to the corner.
Oh, yeah. You bend over and kiss your butt goodbye.
Right.
You know, it's one after another. We have crazy people in charge. And they're going to get us, they're destroying our lives. And all the propaganda is just to hate Russia. And
late last year in New York City, they were running public service ads about what to do when the bomb drops.
Yeah.
So
these are 3 steps to take. They have this actress outside. These are 3 steps to take. Go inside. Make sure you stand in the middle of the room. Yeah.
It seems like a Saturday Night Live sketch, but you know, it's our government.
So when you're asking me about are the politicians crazy enough, look what they're doing. Putting on cartoon ads like this and writing this kind of crap.
Well, you know, I'm laughing about it, but it's no laughing matter. Gerald, so last words here. Again, where's all this heading and how soon?
The how soon is a guess. Is going to look. Remember what happened a couple of months ago? They said Russian missiles hit Poland and 2 people were killed. NATO has to unite.
Yeah.
Because a NATO country was attacked. Oh no, Russia didn't fly the missile. Ukraine did. They fired the missile. There's going to be a false flag event or a nuclear exchange. They're ramping this up. Putin came out this week with a speech about the celebration of the freedom of Stalingrad at the time, where over 1 million people were killed by the Germans.
Yeah.
And he said, now the Germans are sending Leopard tanks. Or Leopard tanks, whatever they're called.
Yeah, Leopard.
These are the same Germans, again, that killed over 20 million Russians.
Yeah.
So now you have Germany, think of yourself as a Russian, sending all this equipment in to defeat you. You're at war again.
Yeah.
The Germans should be the last people to send anything anywhere. But look at the Americans. What's your favorite war? The Vietnam War? No, I like the Korean War. Well, come on, the 2 Iraq wars are better than that. And the Afghan War? Look at all the people America slaughtered all over the globe.
And we're sending in Abrams tanks, which have depleted uranium munition, which Putin's minister in Russia said that's like dirty bomb warfare.
Yeah. And again, American people have no idea. My friends have no idea, but when I start telling them the facts,
yeah,
they have no idea.
Yeah, because they still largely are influenced by the mainstream media.
They're not reading, they're not learning.
Yeah.
All they do is they bite the sound bites.
Who reads anymore? You
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
And now we got Chat GPT. So you don't even have to think anymore.
Hmm. Not heading in a good direction.
No, I'm very sad. I'm very concerned.
Yeah.
Again, if we don't unite for peace, we're going to be dead in war. And I'm trying to get a global peace movement going and working with others to make it happen. And the only way it'll work is you don't have a rally one day and go home. You got to stay at it day after day, night after night. That's the way the Berlin Wall came down. The people went, they didn't leave. More came, they didn't leave. More came, they didn't leave.
Yeah, why don't you explain a little bit more about your universal church and these other activities?
Well, I have the Occupy Peace is one of them, and the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace, and Justice. It's a non-denominational religion, and it's about peace. And no one's talking. You're banned on the media from peace. You know, I had a rally here, and again, the names I had: Judge Andrew Napolitano, Scott Ritter, Gary Null, Phil Giraldi. By the way, Paul Craig Roberts was up here one time too, speaking just before I had the one of my peace rallies at the first one, and we sent out over 3,000 press releases, zero coverage.
That's just incredible.
You're not allowed. If I had a rally to support Ukraine, I would have gotten international coverage.
Yeah, yeah.
So what I'm saying to the people is that please help us. Go to Freedom. Could you imagine I have the domain name freedompeacejustice.com? I took that out in 2021. That thing should have been gone in 1994.
Yeah.
But it shows you that freedom, peace, and justice are not part of the spirit.
Yeah.
So please donate what you can and do what you can. Do something positive every day. And everybody get in the best shape you can, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. We're in the fight for our lives. And if we let these little freaks run and ruin our lives, it's going to be hell on earth. And I'm very concerned about it. I have no idea how sad I am and how I try to lift my spirits up. But I keep, the magazine used to was 170 something pages this week.
Yeah.
No ads. And so we're very concerned about the future, but it does not take a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority keen on setting brush fires of freedom in the minds of men, said Samuel Adams and the founding fathers. So our irate, tireless minority has to unite. And we're trying to do that with Occupy Peace and the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace, and Justice.
Gerald Celente, thanks once again for sharing your thoughts and the ominous signs of things to come, which are not at all in our best interest or even in terms of our survival, perhaps. So Gerald Celente of Trends Research, thanks very much once again for being with us.
And thank you for all that you're doing, Larry.